Hello my friends. My name is Bot Mathematician and this is Holomancer.
Also, Chief Investigative Reporter Dora joined us this evening.
Gadgets and Gazette always gets the scoop.
Today we have prepared for you a very quick review of all the cards from the Audiopocalypse mini set.
In the next 10 minutes, you will learn about the cards that have the most imbalanced effects, as well as the most useless tools in this expansion. We hope this video will help you decide whether to buy the mini set.
Guys, let me briefly talk about your method of determining the potential power of a card in numerical form. In the beginning, Bot Mathematician independently determined the maximum and minimum nominal value of the card components based on classical standards and under two circumstances: the successful implementation of the card effect and complete or partial failure. Then the difficulty level of obtaining the maximum value is determined. To find out the utility ratio, the algorithm divides the average between these two hypothetical scenarios by the card's actual mana cost. If the resulting value is 1, then the nominal cost of the effects fully corresponds to the actual cost of the card. This means that the card fully corresponds to the basic level of Hearthstone. The utility ratio of most modern competitive cards is over 2, which means they are twice as strong as the basic standards. In other words, utility ratio is an experimental benchmark that monitors power creep.
Many thanks Dora. Dear friends, we hope that you are familiar with the nuances of our method, so we will comment only on legendary cards. You can learn more about our approach in a special video.
But before we move on to the test results, we want to share our impressions of the new cards. As you probably know, we don't like the concept of mini sets for many reasons. These include extremely low impact on the metagame, support for strong archetypes and the lack of important tools for weak strategies, as well as the uselessness of most cards.
We have discussed this repeatedly in our videos. Recently Old Guardian also presented a very interesting video on the subject. Don't miss it if you haven't seen it yet.
The only advantage of the mini set approach is the very low cost and high value. But despite the negative attitude, I love the new cards with all my robotic heart.
In my opinion, Audiopocalypse is one of the best mini sets. The main announced feature of the new set is multi-class cards, but the most interesting thing for us is the fact that many of the effects are inspired by the first expansions for Hearthstone. We are extremely interested in trying out many of the new tools in the game. We are only concerned about one thing: the utility ratio of some cards is very low. We get the impression that they would have been great competitive tools 5 to 7 years ago. We are very happy that the developers are lowering the power level of the cards, but this may again lead to the uselessness of many of them, although the new cards are very cool. The new mini set just might not be able to compete with the previous year's expansions. I really hope that our expectations will not come true.
Guys, let's finally get to the test results.
Elite Tauren Champion has a very ambiguous effect and I really like it. You force your opponent to play hot potato. But the outcome of the game will be unpredictable. If the opponent manages to use up all their mana, then the Molten Pick becomes more deadly and returns to your hand, after which you will have to use all the mana crystals during the turn to transfer Molten Pick to the opponent, otherwise you will take damage. In these calculations, we consider only 2 initial scenarios. Maybe you will deal 8 damage to your opponent or lose 10 hit points. The minimum value will be equivalent to -5 mana crystals and your maximum value will be 12 nominal mana crystals. So your utility ratio will be below 1, which means that in cases you are not sure of victory, you can play a legendary card without activating the final effect. Fortunately, the description allows this.
Magatha Bane of Music is an extremely interesting card that can be useful in different scenarios. First, it's a very good tool for Tony, Rivender and Mill strategies, and also a very useful card for decks with a lot of minions, for example Mech Paladin. I really like the ambiguity of the effect. In the best case, you will draw 5 cards. In the worst case, you will give 5 spells to your opponent, which will destroy your advantage. but most likely you will use this card only in those strategies that will allow you to get the maximum benefit quite simply. A very promising card.
Before we continue, we want to thank our community for their help and support. Your like, repost and sponsorship prolongs the life of our channel. Rhythm Dancer Riza is a very interesting control tool. You can use it twice per turn if your hero attacks. In this case, you will deal 3 damage to your opponent's creatures twice and possibly save the body with 3/2 stats. Or you can use the card an almost infinite number of times as a cheap tool to control the board. In any case, the utility ratio in both cases does not look so impressive.
Fanatum Lord of the Opera is another mana cheater. In terms of traditional ways of playing, this is a very well-balanced minion as it only becomes playable towards the end of the game. But in modern circumstances, you can use this card on turn 10 in combination with the Jailer. The cost of the card does not affect the nominal value, but is decisive for the utility ratio. If you play a card for 10 mana, you will get double the benefit. But if the card becomes free, then your utility ratio will be equal to 22 points. Just an incredible result, but it will be very difficult to achieve it.
Here are all the new cards from the Audiopocalypse expansion. Guys, the new cards really look promising. Most of the new mechanics are very well developed, but the test results are really mixed. The utility ratio of cards from previous sets is higher. It would be great if the new tools became the basis of the metagame, but there are doubts about this.
Dear viewers, we can't wait to hear your opinion.
Do you believe the Audiopocalypse mini-set will have enough of an impact on the metagame? Are the new legendary cards enough reason to buy a mini-set for 2,000 gold or $15?
Share your thoughts in the comments and join the polls in the community tab.
Finally, we want to express our boundless gratitude to our sponsors. Dear friends, your support is invaluable. Many thanks to each of you.
We also want to welcome new subscribers to our Mathematician Squad. Unfortunately, for technical reasons, we only see nicknames of public subscribers who did not hide the subscription section on their channel, but we are grateful to everyone for joining.
Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for spending this time with us. We really hope that we will have the opportunity to get in touch in the next video.
Take care of yourself.
And never give up.
Job's done.